What's happening, guys? Another day on the channel, and we're working on a Miata still. So last video we put the coilovers on, and at the end of that video the Miata stopped running. If you guys remember from a previous video, I said that there was a lot of rust in the gas tank, and I'm pretty sure what happened is my fuel filter got clogged, the injectors got clogged, or there's something wrong with the lines now and it's got a bunch of rust or something in it. So what we're going to do, put the car on the lift, we're going to change the fuel filter because I got a new one, it's right here. We're going to go under there, we're going to change the fuel lines, we're going to take out the injectors, and we're going to clean the injectors, and then we're going to put it all back together. We're going to finally get these door window regulators in today. And what else do I have? Put that door card on this side, and then just go through some other stuff. I see a lot of you guys have been saying like the windshield wiper is stupid. Yeah, I know. It doesn't really serve a purpose other than to only use one side of the wiper arm and stuff like that, but it doesn't really matter to me. I have the other one still. It's around here somewhere. I could just throw it back on. The car is coming along very nicely. Just throw it down in the comments what you guys want me to do, because I got Miata content. I got some stuff for the tractor that I could do. Parts are on order for the 180, so just let me know down in the comments what you guys want me to do. Got a lot of stuff still. So let's go ahead, pop the hood here, and start working on this thing. So the hood goes all the way up because, you know, we're a cool boy. This intake pipe is actually working out very nicely here. And how I've been getting it to run is I spray brake cleaner into this right here and then just get it to move it around just a little bit so that we can just move it, because I don't want to not be able to move it. We still have to figure out what's going on with our fan right here because this thing still doesn't work. So we need to figure that out. I got no idea really what it could be, but it's something, and we got to just diagnose it, figure out what it is. I'm going to diagnose some of the wiring probably later on and see what else we can do, but as of right now, let's do the fuel system and then get the window regulators in, because it's about time for that. Okay, so on Miatas, the fuel filter is in the back underneath the car. So you got to take this 10 mil off, pop these two lines off. And honestly, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to leave the feed line off, and I'm going to spray air through it just to try to get all the stuff out of the line there. And then I don't know if this hose here is good for E85, but I think I'm going to replace it because I want to get injectors pretty soon so I can put E85 in this thing and get the mega squirt for it. So let's go ahead and try to change this fuel filter really quick and just blow out the line. Try to see what's inside it. Let's figure it out. Okay, so the new fuel filter is in. Like I said, I left the feed line off, so I'm going to blow air through that, and it's all going to probably dump a bunch of stuff on the floor here. But if you guys can hear this, there's a lot of stuff in this thing. There's a lot of stuff in here. It's like a bunch of rust and garbage and stuff like that. So you can even kind of see a little bit of it right there. Obviously the floor is super dirty, so you really can't see much, but there is a lot of rust in this. So it probably clogged up the injectors a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to go up top now, and we're going to take the injectors out, take the fuel lines off, clean all that stuff out, and then we're gonna put it all back together, and hopefully the car will start up after I put the line back on it. So let's go ahead and do this stuff. Okay, so another problem that I was having was that these fuel lines right here are just AutoZone specials. So I didn't know how long they were gonna last, but they lasted a little while. So let's go ahead and change these out now too, to some better AN lines. So what we have over here is I took the injectors all out along with the rail and the lines and everything, and it's all right here. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna blow some air through the actual fuel pressure regulator, and then we're going to try to clean out the injectors into here and blow through them and see if they can get cleaned out a little bit. I don't know if I can clean these or what, but I think we do have another set of stock injectors right over here for a Miata. If I'm not mistaken, these ones here look pretty similar right here. So these are not actually Miata injectors, but they're pretty close. They're pretty close, but we're not going to use these either. So let's go ahead, try to clean these injectors and clean all this stuff up and then get it to work right again. So let's go ahead and do that stuff right now. Okay, so I believe all the injectors are cleaned. I kind of just made my homemade like fuel injector cleaner kind of thing. So I used my power probe over there with the power and ground, and I put power and ground to each one of these sides. I don't know if I just broke the injectors or not, but I sprayed some brake cleaner through them, Then I sprayed a little bit of compressed air through them, pulsed it with the power probe, and heard it flopping back and forth, the little solenoid in there. So it made a little mess underneath the cup thing that I was using right here. So I think it worked. Let's go ahead, toss these injectors back in, and put some new fuel lines on this thing, and see, and put the fuel line underneath the back, and then give it a whirl and see if it starts up. So that's kind of what I did. I don't know if it's right or not, but I am going to be getting injectors for this thing anyways, so let's just go ahead and put this stuff back together now. Okay, so we got the fuel rail back on, we got the injectors back in, we got them all plugged up, we got our new fuel line on right here. Let's go ahead, put it back up in the air, put that fuel line on that goes in the back that I blew out with the compressed air. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to start this thing up and see what happens. Give it a couple primes and hopefully it'll start right up, and we'll be a-okay with that. So let's just do that. Put it up in the air. So this fuel line is back on, tightened up. Push that, oh, there you go. Pushed it back up so it won't drag in the ground. Tighten this bolt up because that was tightened from before. Let's go ahead and try to start this thing now. Okay, so we're gonna give her a prime. I think it is priming. I'll turn the key on. Prime it again. Prime it one more time. We're gonna go ahead and try to start it now. Whoop. And we'll be right back. It looks like we're still having a fuel problem with this thing. It could be the fuel pump now, that the fuel pump has been sucking up so much rust in the gas tank that it just isn't working, or me doing my hack with trying to clean out the fuel injectors didn't work. So now that it does, just won't start anymore. But we're gonna get injectors, we're gonna get a Megis, we're gonna get some more stuff for this thing so that we can actually put it on the dyno and do what we need to do. So let's go ahead and put the window regulators in right now because I don't have injectors or another fuel pump or any of that stuff. Let's just put the window regulators in, and then we'll try to start it again later on, and maybe the system just needed to bleed itself out of air. So let's go ahead and try to put these window regulators in now. Oh, on the passenger side here, we got the window all out, the glass is off, the window regulator is out, and it actually came out in like three pieces. So this piece here is all busted up. That's garbage. This piece here is all busted up, and then that one's like broken. This thing is supposed to like sit on this and go up and down in this rail right here to bring the window up and down, but you know, it doesn't. So let's go ahead and put the correct stuff on. I got one of them back there, and we're gonna put that on so that then we can actually have a working window on this side, and that's gonna be sick. Okay, so door panels on, crank windows, everything's tight. I just have to get a screw for this thing because this thing isn't tight right there. But look at this. Woo! Finally got windows in this thing that work. So now it goes down, it goes up easier than it goes down, but it's okay. We're gonna make it work. Now we're gonna hop into the driver's side. We're gonna do the same thing to the driver's side, take it all off, put it back together, and then we're going to figure out, I'm gonna leave for the day after that, and then tomorrow I can see what else I can do for this fuel system to get it to run again. But I don't know, I might need to try to find some injectors or something like that so that I can get it to run, but we'll see. We'll see. So here is what the driver's assembly looked like. The window piece was still on it, and it still rode up and down on the cable, which the cable was taut right in there, but there's no like bushings or anything in it, so it just kind of flopped off and fell apart. But the rest of this thing is all pretty good, so I might just keep some of this stuff and just try to get a track for one of these so that I have a track. Obviously the driver's side is going to be used a lot more than the passenger side, so what I'll do is I'll probably just get a driver's track and then just keep that on standby. But let's go ahead, grab our other track set up right there, and go ahead and pop that one in now. So we got it running again, but it doesn't run great, so something's off. I don't know what it is. I got to check it out tomorrow, but maybe it's the flappy box on this side. Maybe that's what's going on. But check out this. Look at that. Smooth window on this side. Smooth window on this side. Whew. Car's stepping up in the world, man. So that's about it for today. I'm going to go home, park this thing back outside, bring a different car inside, and then we'll try to figure out what's going on with the fuel system tomorrow. And you guys will see this video on today, which is going to be Wednesday. Hey guys, so in the beginning of this video I was very down, but I just got pretty happy because Connor found my problem. We took the fuel pump out and look at this. In the previous video I said that this was probably going to be a problem, and it ended up being a problem. Up here in the front I said that these front lines were going to be a problem. They were starting to be a problem, but we fixed them. So now once we put our new line on this thing, we should have no problem anymore, and this thing should be ripping again tonight. We should be able to do some more burnouts. Possibly, but depending on how much longer this is, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna try to figure out what's wrong with the fans over here. I did a rig thing for the flappy box, the airflow meter, so that that's actually up and like tied off to the side. So we're gonna go ahead and change this line on this thing real quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and toss her back in and see if the car runs now. Okay, so we're gonna start her up now. Thought Connor was going to do the honors, but I guess not. So let's go ahead and see if it starts up after my fuel pump. Let it prime for a second, you know. Woo! Look at that. Purrs like a kitten.
That motor rock is crazy. Rev it again?
It's funny, right? Okay, so now that the rotary's back together and it's got fuel pressure, we're gonna try to figure out why the fans don't come on now. Okay, so really cool thing about 1990s cars, and I don't know if this is true for newer cars, but for a 90s car, if you take out your dashboard and you look at the back right here, the diagram, like the wiring relay piece that goes throughout the whole back, tells you what all these things are. So this is turn right, oil, turn left, the temp sensor, which is this one right here that goes over to this dot, and it's the last number or the last like pin on this here, which means it's the last pin right here. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna test that to see if it goes to the back there and if it's broken or anything, just because I don't know what's wrong with the dashboard here and why the temp sensor won't work. Because maybe if the temp sensor doesn't work, it won't turn the fans on because it's not reading that it's actually getting hot or anything. So let's go ahead, get our multimeter out, and we're gonna test that really quick. Okay, so the sensor that's on the front of the block goes to the relay over here because this one is the one that turns on the fans. So I have it plugged in right there. You hear it beep right there. Then when I touch this here, it's beeping again. So you touch that and it's beeping. So that one works. I just have to figure out what's going on. Maybe this isn't touching ground or something like that, or maybe our key on power isn't working after it starts up or something like that, or maybe we're not getting 12 volts throughout the whole thing. So we have to figure out what's going on with that system. The back one is a whole nother story. So that one doesn't have, there's no continuity through it whatsoever. So it's broken somewhere in the looming or something like that. Maybe the harness got ripped or something like that. Maybe it's just really rusty underneath and I got to figure out where it's coming from. So I have to start digging into that to try to figure out what's going on with it. The cluster is out right now, so we're going to go ahead and try to check that, but it's wiring somehow. But we have to figure out how we got to get this here to work for this, because that's the main thing. The gauge I'm not too worried about. This is what I'm really worried about. Okay, so more on this fan stuff. This switch here, so there's power here. This is supposed to be power, but it's only when this side here switches to ground so that it grounds out the center here and it activates the relay, and then it sends power directly through it. So testing here and here works for when you go and put the jumper in like this. That starts the fans. So the fans work when it gets power. So what you have to do for this, which I'll cut back in 1 second, is you kind of need a lot of hands for this thing. You need a multimeter and a power probe. And then we're gonna put 12 volts right here to one side of the coil. And then you'll be able to hear on the multimeter here that it switches and it starts beeping. So with that activating, the fan should work. We're gonna test it again because I wanna make sure that this is working the proper way. I've already done this once, but I wanted to make sure. So it does. You hear the relay moving and everything. So there could be a problem with the wiring from there to there, but we tested that and it's got continuity. When you turn the key on, it's got 12 volts throughout this whole thing, and then once that switches to ground, the fan should come on. I just don't think I had the car running long enough to have the fans actually turn on, but I also didn't want to drive the car too much and let it run too long because I don't have a gauge in the inside of it to test to see what's going on. So now that we know that that whole system is figured out, we should be able to start this thing up, let it idle for a while, and the fan should turn on. I just don't really want to keep letting it do it without it having the proper system working for it. Next is going to be trying to figure out how to get the gauge on the cluster to work for it. So we have to start digging into the wiring that goes into the inside of the car here. Okay, so I have my multimeter set up right now to the wire that goes to the back for the actual gauge, and it's plugged into the port on the gauge where it's supposed to be going, and it's not beeping, it's still open loop right now. So my cheat to fix this is I'm just going to run a straight wire directly to the dashboard, cut the wire on the back of the harness right there, put a butt connector and plug it in, and it should work that way. So I just don't want to try to start digging through all the wires for the inside of the car, laying underneath the dashboard and all that. I'm just going to put a brand new wire to it and just, it should work that way. So let's go ahead and put this wire in, and then we're just going to wrap up the video because this is already probably like 13 to 15 minutes long. Okay, so now with our new wire ran, that's butt connected right here, runs all the way out to the front, underneath the dashboard and stuff, through the firewall and out to the engine. We're going to go ahead, pop our gauge cluster back in, and we're going to fire up the car and see if it starts reading coolant temp, which it should, because now the sensor is brand new wiring and everything, and I don't know what else could be wrong except for the gauge, for the cluster not being working, which I have another cluster right there. So let's go ahead and put this stuff back together. Okay, so the gauge works now because it's already up to operating temp. So let's just wait a couple minutes. Wait. Gotta make sure the fans come on. So I gotta make sure the fans come on now. And then we should be able to take her for a drive. So the fans are not on just yet. So we're gonna wait, let it idle, and then see what happens. Okay, fellas, so it's still not working. I had to put my jumper back in the corner to get the fans to turn on. I got a little core bottle from the good old Alex here for an overflow right now. I got to get it to stay up in a spot that it needs to. But I don't know. This is a brand new sensor. You got continuity from there to the root to there. It's just not switching to ground to do its thing. I don't know what it could be. Maybe the thermostat's bad or something like that, but I don't know, guys. It's a hassle here. But the car is idling very high right now because I don't have an O2 sensor, and it's just dumping extra fuel into it right now. But the thermostat works now. The gauge does. So the gauge is working right there. Check engine lights because there's no O2 sensor. And we're going to have to either put the fan on a switch or something like that because I just don't want to have to keep putting in a jumper every time I want to drive this thing. I really just want it to work the way it's supposed to. But we can figure all this stuff out, guys. But that's about it for this video. This thing's already pretty long. So if you guys liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, comment, share, do all the good stuff. And I hope to see you guys in the next one with more Miata stuff. Check out that thing.